Hello, hello. It's Mary Schiller, author and coach of maryschiller.com, coming to you from Paris, France. I am inside my apartment today. I have a few minutes before I'm going to be talking to a lovely client of mine. So I wanted to jump on and do a Facebook Live for you on a topic that has been rolling around in my mind for quite some time. And I don't have a full and complete answer, but I thought it might be worth starting the exploration with you today. So if you can see the question, it says, are you afraid that more will be asked of you? If so, there is nothing to worry about. One of the things that I have noticed in the past 4 years that I have been talking with people about these three principles, and in particular the last 2+ years that I've been doing it professionally, is that oftentimes people will have a big breakthrough of some kind. They'll see something that is really new to them. They will catch a big glimpse of what's going on behind the curtain of our experience as humans, and they will see some more truth about themselves and where they kind of fit into this thing called life. And then the next time I speak with them, might be a week later or a month later, it seems like that whole thing has just disappeared. That they are back listening to the old story that is very comfortable and typical, and that it seems like it's not like they've lost that insight, but it doesn't seem as present at all anymore. It seems like they've kind of, like I said, kind of gone back into the familiar story. So if you're watching this live, I would love to hear from you if that seems familiar to you. That it seems like you see something and then you don't see it and you kind of fall back into the old habitual thought patterns and ways of seeing yourself and ways of seeing people in your life that you always have. I think I am starting to understand this phenomenon a bit better. And I really have been looking at it closely because as somebody who works as a coach and wants to help people move in a new direction in their lives, it's important for me to have a sense of why this might be happening. So I've recently been looking back at my own experience in this way. And I've been looking at, why is it that when I came across these principles and I felt so profoundly changed, why was I able to kind of start transforming a lot of areas of my life very quickly? And I think it was because I was really bored with myself. I was really bored with the Mary is a survivor of domestic violence story. I was really bored with the Mary has post-traumatic stress disorder story. Somehow within myself, I knew that I had more that I could contribute to this world. And I didn't want to end my life looking at that picture. I didn't know what other picture there was to look at, honestly. I really believed for my entire adult life that that was me, that I was a survivor of domestic violence, that I was someone who had an incurable mental illness, that I was someone who was going to deal with absolute fear and terror every day of my life, that I wasn't someone who was ever going to be successful in the way that other people were because of what had happened to me. That is how I saw myself, and I was tired of it. I was bored. I didn't like it. I didn't like that life experience. And I've talked about this in some other talks that I've given. I was consumed with jealousy of people who weren't having that kind of experience and who looked like excuse me, they were enjoying life and pursuing their passions and traveling the world and living where they wanted to live and doing work that they loved and all these different things. And so, oh, hi, Julie. I just saw your comment. That's my current experience. I had a big breakthrough, but now feels small and stuck again. Okay, so that's what I'm talking about here. So when I came across this new way of seeing myself, it was the thing that I had been searching for because I was so bored with me. I was tired of looking at myself. I was tired of the story that I had been living for all those decades. It was not a fun one, and I didn't like it anymore. And as I said, I had the sense there was so much more that I could be doing in the world if I could somehow get out of that story that looked so real to me. And when I came across these 3 principles through Michael Neill's book, The Inside Out Revolution, after I listened to it for 4, 5, 6 times, I heard the truth, which was that that story that I had been listening to that was boring me to tears and that had me tied up in knots all the time was not true. It was not me. It had nothing to do with me, big me, that was a construction of little Mary, and that I could start acting more consciously from big Mary. That had nothing to do with any story at all. And that, for me personally, was incredibly liberating and exciting, because it was like, finally, I can start living more from this place of infinite potential that is what I am made of, and what you are made of, and what we are all made of. I can start consciously doing that. I looked back on my life and I could see that even when I was in this weird place, this weird story that I was seeing, I was still accessing all of those infinite resources that are available to you and me. I had created some lovely things in my life from that, but it was all on an unconscious level. All of that was working and doing its thing. I simply wasn't aware of it because I was so absorbed in this story, this movie of myself that looked so real to me. When that kind of blew apart and just couldn't be put back together again, thankfully, because it now looked completely fake, I could then consciously access who I really am and what's available to me and what's available to you. I had the sense that that was available to me all the time. And since I became conscious of that, I have been able to make a much more of a positive impact on the world. I'd like to think, based on the feedback that I receive from people and the books that I've written and the feedback I get from the books and wonderful people like you who interact with me and share things with me. That has come about because I was not at all listening to fearful thinking related to what might be asked of me. If I was more consciously aware of the power that I possess simply by being human, I wasn't afraid of what might be asked of me. That I was willing to just lay myself down, literally, on that truth and say, you know what? I'm here. I'm fully here now. I get what's going on. I'm consciously aware now. I have awakened to what is actually possible. And I want to be used by life, whatever you want to say, to do good in the world and to try to help people. There wasn't a single moment where I thought, oh, I can't do it. What if I can't do it? I knew that I could, because we all can. We all have access to the same well of infinite power, resources, creativity, everything. And so what I've started to wonder is if the reason why sometimes, maybe Julia, this applies to you, you have this sense of wanting to retreat back into what looks like the safety of that old story, because you're worried about what might be asked of you to do in this world. You don't have to worry about that. It's nothing to be afraid of, because you have everything you need to do whatever you are called to do, and more. We can't even imagine what is on offer to us. The only way, it seems to me, that we can start to see that is by consciously discovering it, by consciously uncovering it, by asking ourselves, what else can I do to help someone today? How can I be used to help someone? What can I create that might right a wrong, that might correct an injustice? You never, ever, ever have to worry that you don't have what it takes, because simply by being human and by being born into this self, capital S self, you have everything you could ever need to solve any problem, whether it seems big or small, it doesn't matter. So I would love for you to give that some thought today, and let me know in the comments how this sits with you. And of course, if you'd rather send me an email, I'd love to hear from you. I'm available anytime at mary@maryschiller.com. Thanks so much for listening, and I'll talk to you again soon. Bye for now.